Hey, what's up guys, it's Axel, and today we're checking out the Truthear Pure. This is the successor to the Truthear Hexa. The Pure is a 1DD3BA hybrid IEM, and it comes in at a price of around $90. And the real question is this the true upgrade to the Truthear Hexa that many of us have been waiting for? Let's start by talking about what you get in the box. You do get a postcard, which you see right here. You do also get a soft carrying pouch, and you do get 6 pairs of silicone ear tips in 3 different sizes and a pair of foam. The ear tips, the black ones on the right here, I recommend you try them. They are nice, they feel comfortable for me, they're soft and smooth, and they really seal well. Let's talk about the cable, because I really like this cable. It's not a modular cable, which is 100% fine and expected at this price point, but it just checks every other box for me. It's super soft, it never tangles with me, it doesn't have a memory, it doesn't take a shape, you know. It's a really nice cable, it doesn't have any microphonics, and it's super easy to handle, and even the chin slider works and stays in place. Frankly, one of the nicest cables I have seen at this price point. Now, let's talk about the design, and let's have a look at the faceplate of the Truthear Pure. Personally, I prefer the faceplate of the Hexa. It kind of looks sleeker to me, but I also like the way the Pure looks, because I like that it's different, so that's easy, you know, to tell them apart at a glance. You get a grooved surface, and the whole build is made out of 3D printed resin, and we still get that semi-transparent 3D printed resin shells, and you can kind of see some of the internals, which really looks cool. The shell size is slightly bigger than the Hexa. Like, this is the shell of the Hexa on the right side, and honestly, it's not noticeable unless you really put them next to each other side by side, and even then it's not a big difference. I'll add a picture that shows that better. Other than that, there is a vent right here, and there's a nozzle edge right here that helps the ear tips stay on better. But even though I personally, you know, I didn't have any issues with the ear tip sliding off the Hexa or anything like that, because it's slightly tapered up top. We also get the recessed 2-pin connector right here, and yeah, if I measure the nozzle right at the widest point, which is this raised bit right here, it comes in at 6.2 millimeter. So that's, to me, that's average, but just above and below that edge, the diameter is actually small. It's 5.7 millimeters. The Hexa's nozzle is 6.1 millimeter. In terms of fit and comfort, I'll say the Pure really feels very similar to the Hexa for me, which is a good thing. If you find the Hexa comfortable, there's a good chance that the Pure will feel just as good, maybe even slightly better, because of the slimmer nozzle section right here. Personally, both the Hexa and the Pure are low profile and super comfy IEMs for me. I could even sleep with them on if I want to, because they don't really stick out. They're definitely great for long-term listening sessions. And let's talk about sound, because this is where things really shift from the Hexa. So some of you asked, I use a graph. I'm going to use a piece of paper and kind of explain things here. Let's look at the graph together. And what you see here, for me, this is very unique. And I have to say, I like how everything is done after 1K. Like, everything after 1K is really well done here. But before that, it's very different. You get a lot of bass, but you also get a bass that has this gliding character that moves on to the lower mids. And I'm not really a fan of what's going on here, because it just sounds too warm to me. Not only that, the warmth also as well starts to color the tonality. It starts to affect the mid-range clarity, and I feel that there isn't enough amount of ear gain to compensate for that added lower mids and bass, right? I kind of wish there was a bit more upper mid-range right here, because the upper mid-range here is kind of a laid back, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, a lot of good IEMs have that, but I feel like with this level of bass, I just kind of wish there was a bit more vocal clarity or a bit more upper mid-range emphasis, though, as I feel the bass can sometimes overpower the vocals. Few words to describe the sound of the Truthear Pure. I'll say it's a pretty unique sound. For me, I will use simple words to describe it to you. It sounds bassy, it sounds warm, it sounds thick, and it sounds relaxed. It's not a dynamic sound. It's kind of low contrast, but still, you know, it's kind of smooth, it's kind of soft in a way. People who are going to like the Truthear Pure are people who are into really warm, laid-back tunings. For those people, this could be right up your alley. Now, I love bass, I love bassy sets. I can even listen and enjoy to a lot of bass headsets, but the bass on the Truthear Pure frankly feels overwhelming. It's too much in relation to the mids and treble. It's not too much bass, but it's just in relation to the mids and the treble, and it doesn't have a lot of definition. It's kind of like has a slow decay, if I'm being honest. It's very thumpy though. It's very punchy. Like, definitely it has that sense of slam and impact that wasn't there on the Truthear Hexa. I feel this is something that was added here. It's a lot bassier than the Hexa to my ears, but at the same time, it affects the mid-range way too much for my taste and kind of gives it a very warm coloration. Now, if you are into EQ, I want to mention this fact, by the way, because I've tried it. Just lowering that bit right here dramatically improve the sound. But I will talk about the stock tuning anyway. If I move on and talk about the mid-range, it's warm, it's thick, it's laid back, and it's not very clear. This isn't like the Truthear Hexa. At least for Hexa, for me, the best part about the Hexa, and that's just my personal opinion subjectively, is that the vocal clarity of the Hexa. I like the mid-range. If you ask me what do I like about the Hexa, it's the mid-range of the Hexa. We don't get the same clarity here. It kind of honestly feels sometimes a bit hazy because it's relaxed, and again, the bass starts to overwhelm things here. Relaxed upper mid-range are great if it's balanced with the bass, but here the bass affects things and affects the mid-range. To put it in simple terms, the vocals sound warm and bassy. Like sometimes there is a bassy undertone to the vocals, and some tracks like, Moving in Stereo by the Cars, the vocals don't have that clean clarity that I hear on the Hexa, for example. And the same thing with September Song by Agnes Obel, the piano, those heavy piano notes just feel not very defined. There's thick note weight across the mid-range, and things don't really feel open. Definitely not the transparent mid-range that we got with the Hexa. Kind of a preference if you like warm here, but I personally prefer the mid-range on the Hexa. It's really nicely done and it's very clear and clean. Let's talk about the treble. For me, I like it. It's pretty safe, it's relaxed, it's smooth and not harsh. It's not an airy treble, but again, it's not lacking for me personally. I really like the way the treble is done here. Like I said, I really like everything after 1K, and just I feel just the bass is just added way too much into the lower mids, and this is the only thing that I feel right here that I didn't like about it, because you hear the treble and the treble is nice, but the bass just keeps grabbing your attention and taking your focus. Moving on to the technical performance, I'll say the technical performance on the Pure is alright. I'll place it like 30%, maybe between the Truthear and the Truthear Nova. Let's say 30%, maybe 40%. It's definitely a lot less detailed than the Aria, and I compare them side by side. It's a lot less detailed than the Aria. Like there's a big difference between them. Imaging is decent. That's what I'm gonna say about it. So let's compare the Truthear Hexa and the Pure, and I would say like the Hexa is a really nice IEM, and even though it's not my favorite type of sound, this isn't my favorite sound signature, I really respect it and I really could enjoy the mid-range. I like the mid-range of the Hexa. Like this is the best part about the Hexa. It can be a bit lean. The bass, quality and quantity on the Hexa, isn't impressive in my opinion. The treble has some lower treble emphasis, but it's not harsh, to be honest. Just have a bit more some energy there, and I'm 100% okay with that. And the mid-range is the star of the show. Like if you ask me what do I like about the Hexa, it's mid-range. And I always felt that the Hexa, if it just had more bass and it had better bass, like better quality, better definition, better impact, could be even better than it is. But this is also one thing I kind of was hoping is going to happen to the Pure. Like I said, like comparing it to the Pure, yeah, the Pure adds a lot more bass. That's absolutely true. And the bass also slams harder, and it definitely sounds fuller down below, but it also comes with trade-offs. Like I said, like the bass on the Pure isn't very defined, the attack isn't very defined, it bleeds into the mids and kind of clouds the vocals a bit, and the whole upper mids and the treble on the Pure is laid back. Like I kind of feel it could be a bit better if the upper mids and treble were like the Hexa, a bit more forward to give us that sense of clarity. So overall with the Pure, the whole sound signature kind of starts to sound warmer, starts to sound thicker and more laid back, while on the Hexa it sounds more neutral, it sounds cleaner, it sounds more incisive. It's a more relaxed tuning on the Pure overall. I mean, maybe some people are going to like that. It's not for me, to be honest. I feel I like the Hexa a lot more because of that vocal clarity, because of that balance, because of that clean separation. I really like the Hexa when it's mid-range. Like I said, I really agree the Pure does upgrade the cable, it does upgrade the nozzle, but in terms of overall sound and even design, I have to be honest, I prefer the Hexa a lot more. Another IEM I want to compare it to is the Moondrop Aria 2, and I will do a quick comparison here now. The Aria 2 for me personally is a bit warm, but it's a warm done right. It's not too warm, it's not too much, vocals still shine, and vocals still are enough to come forward stand out from the mix, right? The bass doesn't intrude too much, the treble is still safe, the detail level is there, and it's way better, the clarity and control, than the Pure. Who I would recommend this to? I will be clear here, there's one big reason for me to recommend it. If you are into very warm sound signatures, if you like laid back mid-range combined with a warm sound in the bass, I feel you're going to really like the Pure. It does deliver that warm, relaxed, kind of cozy sound which maybe is something you personally like. Now, who I don't recommend the Truthear Pure to, again, the same reason I'll say, if you don't like warm sound signatures, or you're okay, like, you know, with some people like me, like, I'm okay with some warmth, I'm okay with warm sound signatures, but just, I feel the Pure just is a bit too warm, that's all. It's just a bit too warm for my personal taste. So if you're like, you know, if not a fan of very warm sounding IEMs, then I don't recommend the Truthear Pure. Time for the final rating. I will give the Pure 3 stars out of 5. I feel it's decent, you know, it's not for everybody. It's definitely good. For people who like warm signatures, this is exactly what you're looking for. But again, for me, it's not exactly what I prefer. That sound signature is just way too warm for me in the mid-range. Other than that, everything else was actually kind of nice. And yeah, that wraps up my review of the Truthear Pure. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.